Virginia, great to see you again. Welcome back to Popternative.
Thank you. Thank you for giving us all the filmmakers. Thank you for giving me time.
Absolutely. I'm really curious because I find it interesting when you're working on something with someone who's you're acting with, who's also the writer and director. Are there conversations completely different speaking to Steven from an acting perspective versus a writing or director? Or is it all kind of like one kind of storyteller chat with him throughout the whole process?
Um, yeah, he was very different when he was director man and when he was in character. Um, because I met him as a writer and when he brought the script to me. And I thought when I read it, I first of all I loved it. And but I did not see how it could be possible for him to also direct and star in it because it was such a heavy piece. And it was really important that it be right. And so I gave him a very hard time in the beginning. Because I wanted to know why do you think that you can do this? With my experience, I don't see how that's possible. But he kept talking to me and it was compelling. And I felt like I could take a leap of faith, which I am known to do now and again. But it was worth the risk.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you have to risk it, because I thought it might just work.
Yeah.
He convinced me, and then of course when I showed up on the location, like there's Steven with the huge beard now and the long hair, and he was kind of just so distant. I saw him, and then there's Matt, and I said, "Oh, hi," and he said, "It's Matt," and I said, "Oh, yeah, nice to meet you, Matt." And he was like, "No, Virginia, it's Matt," because he put on like 40 pounds. Like I did not recognize the human,
Mm-hmm.
and so I thought, well, how is he going to take care of me when I'm in this really fragile place, and
Yeah.
this performance is so important to me. I guess I'm going to have to do this on my own. But he was there, and he playing this very young, broken man. I just kept, my instinct is to be motherly and just hold him and make him feel better. But my job as the therapist was to be his sheepdog, to guide him, to protect him, and to keep my distance in the beginning. And
Yeah.
we thankfully got to really do it pretty much in order for my parts. So it was really, I don't know how he did it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he split himself between the cast and crew, but he managed.
Well, you mentioned like heavy subject matter and kind of the preparation and everything. And I always find, because I'm a filmmaker as well, so these are the things I think about. So it's like one of those things where it's like you get this script, right? And you can picture it all you want and like, picture what it's going to look like or feel like as much as you want, but it gets real when you get there, right? And like when I was watching this film, the conversations, like you said, like between your characters, the intensity is always there, and like you're feeling something every time you're both talking to each other in the film. I'm curious, from that script to screen journey, specifically with the conversations that you both are having, what was that like for you, kind of reading all those scenes and then seeing it come to life when you got into production for Sheepdog?
Well, I was not sure. I was not confident. I just felt that I had to do it. Um and it I don't know, there was just something about him. And he also, had a really good cinematographer
Yeah.
and a really good first AD
Yeah.
and his other producers. And I thought, he has done the best thing that you can do is you surround your people who really, really know what they're doing
Yep.
and let them do it. And I thought, okay, he's got it together if he's got that, because that's going to make it okay for he and I.
Yep.
And that turned out to be really that part of it. And of course, the rest of his cast were just, everyone was really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, he doesn't have the experience, but man, he did it. Once in a while, someone like that comes around and they make a beautiful film. It's very, very rare. And I still can't believe, what it must have taken. Not only before I got the script, he was embedded in this for 10 years. He was involved with the VA and took a long time to gain their trust and to get really deeply involved with people who were healing. And then he had to also find money. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, this was not going to be within the big studio systems or the big giant money people who are going to say PTSD. Ooh, no. Mm-hmm. They're not going to even look at his script.
Absolutely.
But he managed to do that too.
Yeah.
I just don't know how.
Absolutely.
But he did. It's really something to be commended. It's very, very unusual.
It's a powerful film. And then last question for a wrap up. We said, last time we chatted was for Lola. You said before the interview, a different character, a different mindset. But it is storytelling at the end of the day. And you have an incredible
end of the day,
you have an incredible body of work. It's an honor and privilege to speak with you. Sideways is one of my favorite movies of all time. How separate are past projects for you compared to something like Sheepdog? Like, do you bring kind of mindsets or preparations to past things to future projects, or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
I find that they're very separate. Yep. They're very different experiences. Each one has their own personality. Each one is their own kind of circus with its own kind of acts and all different locations. There's so much that goes into filmmaking, and I love all of it. Mm-hmm. I love my goal was not the stage. I fell in love with movies probably when I was a toddler. Yep. And I loved the whole circus of it. I loved that there were all these interesting people just to create this one beautiful image. And I that just fascinated me as a child. That's what I wanted to be a part of. And so I guess the way that they would be connected is simply my gaining experience, mm-hmm. my being able to continue to learn with each project. It gives me more knowledge. And because I'm just not a person who's jaded, there's no such thing as sitting still, to quote the book, there, you can't just go sideways through life. Mm-hmm. I have momentum, and I think as soon as this is why I think I felt so connected to the film, because when someone is in trauma or post-trauma, they don't have that connection. What became before, what goes forward. My life, everything's interconnected, but someone who's in that, and I was, you just dwell in it. And it's like being in quicksand. Everything just keeps falling in. And unless I had help and support but took the first step to reach out, and that's what this character does.
Yes.
And so that somehow each project somehow reflects what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really obvious, like this movie. But the characters always have something to do with what I'm going through at the time.
Yep.
So I kind of that's when I know that's probably the project I should do.
Yeah.
Like, it just happened to me, or that's where I want to be. It's somehow really directly connected to me.
Yeah.
I think as a very, very young actor, it's about putting on a character, and living in this way. And then as you gain as I gained experience and I learned how to act, I learned about what I was doing, then it could be more reflective of my real life. And that way I could do more difficult projects too, without me utterly falling apart. And because work to me is not therapy.
No. Yeah.
But it is a way of exploring what I had been through.
Absolutely.
So I'd never worked on a project that was this personal.
Yeah.
And this meaningful. So it was really hard. It was really hard. I didn't necessarily want to share that with anybody, you know?
No, absolutely. So, and also like the self-reflection like component. I feel like also like indie film, there's a lot of films, involving kind of important, stories that were never told before, and like focusing on
yes, and sometimes they emote and express themselves right out of the movie.
Absolutely.
Like, but my.
I know. And I congratulations on everything. It was an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for chatting with me about Sheepdog, Virginia. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.